everybody. I'm Bill Inman with SmartSearch. I'm excited to be here today with Leigh Ann Pagnard. Hello, Leigh Ann.
Hi, Bill.
Nice to have you here again with us. We're going to be talking about Staffing World. We've talked about it a few times. You know, you did live updates from the event. We talked about the keynotes previously as well. That was great content. And now we're going to talk about some of the learnings that you had from the sessions at Staffing World, which seemed to be really valuable based upon a kind of a pre-conversation we had. So I know that we're going to start first on the technology front, and you're going to tell us a little bit about what you learned in multiple sessions about what's happening in the staffing industry today, what are the trends, what's exciting in the technology area. Is that right?
Absolutely. If there is one session that I always make at Staffing World, I will rearrange meetings, put off other things. The one that I do not miss always surrounds new technology. And there are a panel of people that attack each area of a staffing technology, from the initial search to matching and all different components of it. And they share with the entire audience. It's probably one of the largest, best attended sessions outside of the keynote. They share what they're seeing, where they think things are moving, and all of the new technology goodies that are out there. So I'm going to flash in front of your eyes one of the diagrams that they share with us, so you can see how much technology there is in this sector, and how in typically between 60 and 90 minutes they walk through all the things that are happening in these different categories. And the graphic that I showed you was provided by the American Staffing Association, but it's done in partnership with Talent Tech Labs. They're kind of a think tank in the staffing industry. They do a lot with regards to staffing technology. And so that's where it comes from. So there are two things that I thought to pull out of here, just as hey, a heads up, something to take a look at. There is a matching tool called HiredScore that I actually took it, circled it, starred it next to my notes, just to make sure that I spent some time reviewing it afterwards. But I would challenge you to get out there, take a look at HiredScore. They have some capabilities within the matching arena that are unique and different from some of the things that you've seen before. So I'd take a look there. And then a second one to look out for is, sometimes it's the small things for me. And I know many of my clients struggle with data integrity and how do we make sure that the information that we have in our systems is up to date. And there was a little widget that was shown called Clearbit, and I'm sure it's more than a widget, but I just saw them demo how they took a very simple file download of data from their system, uploaded it to Clearbit, spent $10 or so and got back a whole lot of information on the company and the contacts within the company that then they could use to make it more of a warm sales call, as opposed to a cold call, not knowing much about what's happening within the organization. And the folks that do these presentations really check closely to make sure that that the tools that they're recommending and giving us a glimpse into actually work as they are purported to do. So those were kind of the two that stood out to me, that I walked away and said, wow, I want to take another close look at these tools over the coming weeks.
Right, that's very interesting. I'm sure there were multiple different technology solutions to look at, and I'm glad to hear about those too. I believe HiredScore is AI enabled, so they must be taking in data from different sources to come up with the right matching tool. And that's a very interesting place to be, because of the volume of resumes coming in, because of how challenging it is to take on the influx of candidates for those lucky enough to have a high volume of resumes coming in. And then making sure we don't miss people, or we're able to read between the lines to know who's who. So that's really an interesting space. Clearbit also sounds interesting. It's, data is the new gold, right? So making sure, it's kind of remiss if you're in the staffing industry and you don't know a lot about your prospect, you can rest assured that the other people that are calling on them probably know a lot about them, or are personal friends in some cases. So I think that's a great tool to have. So at SmartSearch, we have 53 integrations that we've integrated with over the years. So I'll check both of those out to see if they want to be part of the club on our platform. So thanks for that. And the show and tell that you had there, that doesn't surprise me that it looked like there were so many boxes there. I was in a booth at an industry event, And I'll never forget, a staffing company owner walked in because the booth was right next to the door, walked in, stopped with a friend and said, "It never ceases to amaze me how many staffing technologies there are." And that chart that you showed looked like the periodic table of elements. So it's not surprising that there's so many things to see there. So thank you for that. Now, I believe that in the other sessions, even beyond technology, there were several things you wanted to share with us. I think we talked about it as the 3 takeaways that you learned, maybe 3 of the most important takeaways you learned at the event. Is that right?
Well, they're kind of takeaways, giveaways, things that I thought had value that folks could, quickly enrich themselves with. And so I always try and, you're at a trade show, you want something for free, right? Well, folks that are watching this have no opportunity to get, the 1,000 different kinds of stress balls or mugs or other fabulous giveaways that the staffing companies provide. But one of the things that I did find that was a free giveaway that everyone on the call can potentially use is it's a simple app that does basic staffing math. So for your salesperson, if they are, math challenged and knowing what their burden is and how that relates to their markup and what's their actual gross margin and profitability, all of that, is a bit challenging, especially for folks new to the industry. There's an app out there from Terra Firma called RateHound, and it's free for download. You can get it on Apple and Google Play, wherever you go to get your apps. Download it and take a peek. It does the basics quite well and lets you, put in a couple fields and it fills in the rest for you. So that's the something free. And then second, cool. I like to have something to think about. And this one was, a bit of a challenge for me because we get so involved in the technology and how are we moving data and how are we getting data as we're pulling it in from our onboarding process. And we're all thinking, oh, how do we get the jobs and their work history and all of these resume-based things? And the challenge in one of the sessions was around, what if there's a world without resumes? What would that look like? Resumes have been around since the 1400s. And so she actually showed in one of the sessions, pulled up a TikTok called Resume Girl and showed how a wonderful lady had done a TikTok video, very quick, under a minute, that gave all her qualifications and flashed work she had done, in the background. And she had literally thousands of responses as she was looking for work, and her TikTok went viral. So it was just a new way to think about it. And then to extrapolate that to, how would video, further impact our industry? Are we getting to a place where we can be more forthcoming? Because I remember looking at this, 15, 20 years ago, and the concern was around, hey, we don't want to provide anything that could be potentially discriminatory, that folks could look and discriminate based on anything that they saw on the screen. And so the feeling at that time was that paper anonymized and allowed folks to be considered, very similarly. But in a day and age when so much of what we're doing is on video, and that's how people communicate, it did provide me some significant food for thought there.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. I'll check out that TikTok site. I'm an advisor to a LinkedIn technology company that leverages LinkedIn for lead gen and things like that. But I often get a lot of my friends going, I need a job. I don't know why everybody that I know comes to me to find a job. I've started staffing companies and MSPs, but I haven't been a recruiter since like 96. Which just gave away my age, which is fine. Growing the beard. But what I tell people these days is, and I just advised somebody who speaks Mandarin, French, Spanish, and English, and she's an African American woman who sang in Mandarin on the Korean American Idol called Korean Super Idol or something like that. I'm like, why isn't that video on? If you want to go for diversity positions, what better way to show that you're a diverse soul, really, than showing that video? So I advise people to put media and put video on their LinkedIn that shows who they are and what they stand for. First of all, have a mission. But so it sounds like that TikTok Resume Girl found, differentiation, because you have to have it in the marketplace. You can't just do the same thing that everybody else is doing. So that's a really cool story. Terra Firma, many staffing owners, and it's a business with no barrier to entry. Some of them aren't good at spreadsheets. So any tool that's going to help them with math is going to help them make sure they put the right rates out there. So that's cool as well. So I love those. Anything else to add?
Yep, just a final one. I'm going to go back to something that we spoke of previously, but it was just so good, I cannot let it go. And so, as you know, staffing is in many ways repetitive. And so we're always looking for a place to get inspiration and, how and why can we, approach this from a new vantage point, think about things differently, come at it with the very best attitude that we can have. And I'm going to go back to one of our keynote speakers, Sekou Andrews. And on his website, he has a clip. It's about 9 minutes, but it's called the Awesome Anthem. And if you have a day when you just need a pick-me-up and you want something that's going to make you look at your work differently, look at yourself differently, I challenge you to get out there, take a look at his site, listen to the Awesome Anthem. I can't even say it right. That's hard to say. The Awesome Anthem. And then approach your day with all the energy and vigor and intelligence and wonderfulness and awesomeness, as he would say, that you uniquely can bring to that situation.
That sounds great. Well, I'll definitely be looking that up, and I expect that in the comments of this video, wherever it's posted, that we'll mention that as well. So, Leigh Ann, we've done this series on Staffing World. We've had some really insightful, all different types of insightful things. And what I really appreciate about what you brought to the table is you're very well-rounded. So it's nice to hear about the tactical things, and it's also nice to hear about the strategic things, but it's also nice to wrap it in human emotion and have some of the inspiration too. So appreciate that. Before we go, and this will wrap up our series on Staffing World, and of course we'll have many more series. You're out in the field all the time as a well-known HR and staffing consultant, and with your background, it's no surprise. Anything else to add before we wrap up?
No, just thank you for the opportunity, Bill. It's always my pleasure to get to share. One of the ways we all retain learning is by sharing it with others. So I challenge anybody that's reviewing this and taking the time to grow and to learn to share it with someone else in your network, because in doing that, you'll internalize it more yourself.
I love that. At SmartSearch, we're a future of work platform. We've been known as an ATS company for many years, and we're adapting and evolving to be something new and great. And I'm very excited about that. But we want to help you, through experts like Leigh Ann in our network, in our ecosystem. We'd love to hear who you are, what your story is, what your challenges are, and see how we can help, however that might be. So look forward to sharing more videos like we're doing with Leigh Ann Pagnard here today with you in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Leigh Ann, again, take care. We appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Bill. My pleasure.